at the beginning of every meeting for public comment, but we do not have anybody signed up for public comment for today. I do have a proposed consent agenda, which includes items 2 and 3. Does anybody wish to remove anything from the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and read it into the record. Item number 2 is RS 2025-1460, a resolution recognizing August 20th, 2025, Southern HIV/AIDS Awareness Day in Nashville and Davidson County. Sponsors Bradford, Benedict, Gadd, and Hill, as well as BL 2025-959, an ordinance adopting an ordinance readapting the code of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, Tennessee, prepared by the Metropolitan Code Corporation, including supplemental and replacement pages thereof containing certain ordinances of general and permanent nature enacted on or before February 24th, 2025, sponsored Prep T. Do we have a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and properly seconded. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? That's 5 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting for the consent agenda. Then next, going back, we have item number 1, which is RS 2025-1459, a resolution recognizing the Parkway 8U All-Stars for finishing in 3rd place in the Diamond Youth Baseball World Series. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and properly seconded. I do see that there is a substitute. Do we have a motion for the substitute?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and properly seconded. Any discussion on the substitute? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor of the substitute?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? That's 5 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting for the substitute. We are now on the resolution as substituted. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 5 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Okay, next we have a late filed amendment to BL 2025-956, which is an ordinance to amend Chapter 12.4 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws regarding abandoned vehicles and restrictions on street and alley parking. I do have the language of the late filed amendment before me. Essentially the amendment reads in section 1 that section 12.40.180 subsection B of the Metropolitan Code is hereby amended by deleting it in its entirety and replacing it with the following. Section B, except as otherwise permitted by law, the parking of trucks, motor vehicles exceeding 8,800 pounds gross vehicle weight rating, box trucks, food trailers, or semi-trailers, whether or not attached to a tractor, is prohibited on any street within the jurisdiction of the Metropolitan Government at any time of day or night. Yes,
Would you like me to explain what the change is?
that would be great.
Yeah, the change is a typographical error. There was a decimal point instead of a comma, and it merely corrects that. But it needed to delete the whole section and add it back in just to correct that one little section.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Any discussion on that?
Director Darby, was this deferred in committees yesterday?
I believe it was deferred in one committee for 2 meetings.
That's right. I remember too.
Move to defer 2 meetings.
So that is a proper motion, properly seconded. Any discussion on the motion to defer for 2 meetings?
Yeah. The only reason that this is in front of this committee right now is to determine the emergency nature of the late file amendment, not to take action on the late file amendment,
Okay.
to approve or
So it probably has time to get the amendment on in 2 meetings, don't you think?
Yeah. And so yeah, for purposes of clarifying the record, right now we are considering whether or not to suspend Rule 13 for this late filed amendment. And having heard the explanation from Director Darby, is there any discussion on the late filed amendment? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move to a vote. Those in favor of suspending Rule 13, say aye. Any opposed? Motion fails.
I think they can put the amendment on during the deferral.
Actually, let me get the number. So, in favor? Okay. Against? Okay. So that's 1 in favor, 4 against, 0 not voting. So that motion fails. Okay, so moving forward, we are gonna go a little out of order. So next we have board and commission elections. So folks in this section will be. Hold on a second.
Looks like it's
Oh, wait, okay. Yeah, it looks like it's out of order.
two different parts.
So, okay. Because it's got the Industrial Development Board folks on here. Did we?
Then it's got,
Yeah, you have to.
We have to approve them
Yeah,
since
there's a second.
it's
part
a
of it.
second time.
Okay, I see. Yes. So, yes, Board and Commission elections. So first is council nominations for the IDB, the Industrial Development Board. Consideration of nominees to fill 3 vacancies on the board with terms expiring on August 31st, 2030, with an election to be held at the August 19th, 2025 council meeting, which is today. We did previously interview all of the folks on this list at the prior council meeting. Or at the prior meeting of this committee 2 weeks ago. Is there any discussion on any of the folks? Actually, let me go ahead and read all of the nominees into the record, and then I'll ask if there's any discussion on this. So the nominees are the Honorable Nancy Van Reese, nominated by Councilmember Gamble, Laura Yankee, nominated by Councilmember Benedict, Natalie Alvarez, nominated by Councilmember Allen, David Ware, nominated by Councilmember Evan Siegel, Tequila Johnson, nominated by Councilmember Porterfield, Derek Leslie, nominated by Councilmember Coopin, and then Bob Braswell, nominated by Councilmember Webb. Is there any discussion on any of these nominees?
And Chair, for clarification, they're on the consent agenda, correct?
Yes, yeah, well, if there's no discussion, we'll be taking all of these up as one vote.
It's done.
All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move to a vote on all of these nominees in one consolidated vote. Well, let me ask, do we have a motion for
I move
consolidated
that
vote?
we take all of them in one vote.
Okay, moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? Got 6 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. On all nominees in this section. Okay, now, moving forward is Board and Commission nominees and appointments. These are folks who are up for consideration, or up for interview this evening, and then we will have subsequent votes on them. First, we will, is that the first one we need to take? Yes, yeah, first we will take up the Fire and Building Code Appeals Board reappointment of Raymond Andy Berry for a term expiring on July 20th, 2029. Mr. Berry, thank you for being here. If you'll come forward. Would you like a parking validation or a bus pass?
Parking, please.
Okay,
Thank you
here you go.
so much. Appreciate it.
Of course. Are you currently a Davidson County resident?
Yes.
And do you serve on any other Metro boards or commissions other than what you're being reappointed to here today?
No.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about why you want to continue to serve.
I'm an architect. I've been here since the summer of '98. I really enjoy living here. I moved here thinking in 3 years I was going to move to Chicago or Berlin or Barcelona, and I ended up staying here. I want to be able to contribute to the city and the built environment, and I want to be able to have a say or a helping hand when there is sometimes a discrepancy in an interpretation, or I have presented to the appeals board many times, and it has been super helpful to me as a architect and as a professional, and it has helped me to help my firm, and it's a valuable service. So, I mean, that's the short version of it. I could go on if I need to, but there's other people. So.
Fair enough. And so, I think having your level of professional expertise is definitely beneficial for this board. So one of the things that I do want to sort of ask you is in relation to the fires that happened in Bellevue this past weekend with an apartment building, which it's not its first time having experienced a fire disaster as this. I guess the question in that vein is, how do you view your role on this specific board in trying to ensure that we've got good actors in Nashville and in Metro that actually comply with code, and how do you view your role in facilitating that and trying to push folks to protect people's lives as it relates to fire safety?
Sure. Fire safety, and not just fire safety, but also building safety and other. It's important to remember it's not just fires. I mean, that's what most people think of in an emergency in a building. But what our role, or how I see our role in the fire and building codes appeal process is there are lots of hard and fast rules in the fire and building codes. Mechanical codes, I mean, it's not just fire and building. There's other code items we look at, there are sometimes existing conditions. There are sometimes misinterpretations or different interpretations. There are sometimes, often what we see in the Fire and Code Appeals Board is a newer version of a building code has provided some clarity, but the city officials are not able to make that exception. They can only enforce the actual code that is in place. Oftentimes we are using a newer code where there's other research or other fire safety or other kind of further interpretations. But also equally important is we are all, well, most of us are, I am, and many of us are licensed professionals who have to uphold a standard of care on our own. And I personally am not going to not enforce that. It's important. It's also important to, when somebody has an existing building that, say, has been subject to a fire, they may be able to just restore it to how it was and not follow a new building code. Those are some of the kind of nuances of some of those things that happen sometimes. But yes, it is important to make sure to ensure that health and welfare and safety.
Thank you. Anything from the committee? Vice Chair?
Yeah. Is fences, is appeals about fences, do you all do those?
We do those. It is in the city ordinance says that that appeals for fences should go to building and fire.
Yeah, and like last term, we passed a bill, we might have passed a couple about fences, but there's one in particular I remember that relates to like how the pretty side, how the fences facing can be seen from the inside versus the outside. Are you getting, and I think maybe there's been some, at least in my district, there's been some like, oh, I didn't know. Because we don't always go and get approval for fences, right?
We have had at least 3 of those. And again, I mean, it's not a fire and building issue, but it is part of our purview to review that. And we have had long discussions about those in some of those meetings, because it is important and it is our job to review those things. I think in every situation that has come up, and that's also important to say. Every situation is different. There at some point there is going to be a time where we probably say, no, sorry, you have to tear it down and fix it. But for the most part,
You're giving grace.
I mean, sometimes it's like, I don't think I can talk about specific, well, I guess I can't because it's now public record, but there have been places where there was an existing fence that they've replaced, and theoretically, they should have made it not look like their old fence, but the old fence had been there for 30 years and they didn't know. They hired a handyman, and it installed. So
Thanks.
we would love to not see those, but that is how the ordinance is written, so. Sorry, I was
No,
speaking
more than
to
all
you,
right,
but
yeah.
I would love not to see those fences, but.
Anything further from the committee? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move to the vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Any not voting? We've got 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much for being here.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
Next, we also have the Fire and Building Code Appeals Board reappointment of Davinder Sandhu for a term expiring on July 20th, 2029. Mr. Sandhu, thank you so much for being here. Would you like a bus pass or a parking validation?
I paid the private company to park today, so I don't think they'll help with it.
No,
Very, very well. Okay, so are you currently a Davidson County resident?
Yes,
And do you serve on any other metro boards or commissions other than what you're being reappointed to here today?
no, I don't.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about why you want to continue to serve.
There's a need on the board. We're short people, so if you know somebody who needs to serve, send them our way. I was asked to serve when we were even shorter, and I stepped up to do my duty.
Perfect, I appreciate that. And so, just from my point of curiosity, have you all had quorum issues at your meetings?
Usually not.
And so, which actually brings up a question that I should be asking everybody, is you're still able to meet the time commitment for being for serving on
Yes.
this board? Okay. Perfect. And then sort of same question to you as well about just fire safety and ensuring that we've got folks who are complying and have making sure that we're incentivizing people being good actors and disincentivizing bad actors. How do you view your role in that sense on advocating for and ensuring sort of fire safety across the county?
Well, that's not our purview. You know, we only come in if there's a question about the code that the fire marshal can't answer, the codes people cannot answer. And we'll have to, somebody's appealing an issue that cannot be solved by building codes of that fire marshal. For example, historic homes or homes that are not built to current code and so on. So that's where we have to kind of step in and try to give an idea of what can be done.
Perfect. And you sort of answered this question before, but sort of want to give you the chance to expound on it if you want to. I guess having been on this board and having some institutional knowledge of its operations, what's one thing that you hope to accomplish or want to continue to do in continuing to serve on this board?
I think that'd be a great service done to the community if there's better communication at the time of permitting. Sometimes people have started a project and another some division might come up and say, we never got our approval. But on the forms that they submit, they've gotten everybody's approval or there was no comment. So I think that would help immensely if the one-stop shop actually worked.
I like that answer. Thank you for that. Anything from the committee? Yes.
Hi, Mr.
Great.
Sandhu. I'm Erin Evans. So we've never met in person, but Mr. Sandhu was instrumental in the pallet shelter conversation and volunteered his time with all the engineering needs that we had to document to provide to the state to overcome the hurdles to be able to get them enabled to be used. And so I'm very excited he's up for reappointment. I get to meet him, and I appreciate all the service that you provided in all kinds of ways, and so thank you for being willing to serve.
Thank you for pointing that out. That's an example of a no-brainer, that why would one regulatory agency go against another regulatory agency when a professional engineer is telling them, let's use these devices to help our homeless or unhoused. And it took almost 2 years, maybe 3 years, so
Yes.
it's politics against common sense.
Question.
I've known Devinder for a number of years. He's a long time,
Too long.
a long-time District 18 resident, and is very involved in the community, and I'm proud to support him today.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it.
Anything further from the committee? Seeing none, we'll move to vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Any not voting? We've got 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. You guys have a job that I would not want.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
All right, next we have the Historic Commission reappointment of C. William Bill McKee for a term expiring on August 10th, 2029. Mr. McGee, thank you so much for being here. Would you like a bus pass or a parking validation?
Parking validation, please. Mr. Chairman, may I make a comment?
Yes, please, by all means.
I have chaired many boards and commissions, and I'm amazed at the way you went through the statute. I just want you to know.
I appreciate that. Are you currently a Davidson County resident?
I am.
Okay, perfect, and I actually have the honor of being able to represent you, so so great. And then, do you serve on any other Metro boards or commissions other than what you're being reappointed to here
No, I
today?
do not.
Okay, perfect. So tell us a little bit about why you want to continue to serve.
Well, I'm active in the history community, and so I do history research. And I look for ways to make history relevant to the community that we have now. I think it's very important that people understand that Nashville is a great city, and it's a great city because that we have honored the people that have come before us. So that would be my major reason.
Absolutely, I very much appreciate that. Because one of the things that I think that Nashville can be better about is that, as you said, just touching on the history of the folks who have sort of paved the way and really built the city into what it is. And so I very much appreciate that mission of really playing into that, because I think oftentimes whenever people think of Nashville, they think of Broadway and honky-tonks, where it's just like Nashville is definitely significantly more than just that aspect. So
And I'm working on a history project now of a person that was in the late 1700s and early 1800s. And I like to look at things because it's a part of a community that doesn't exist anymore.
yeah, exactly. And I guess from that perspective, then I guess, or from your perspective, what is one aspect of Nashville history that you feel as if has not been publicized enough that you would love people to know about?
Well, I think we focus on things like the Civil War. We focus on things like the integration movement, school desegregation. All those things are exceedingly important, but they don't tell the whole story of who we are. And we're a community of immigrants. Some of us got here before some others, but we need to look at who we are, how we got here, and what are we doing to celebrate those things. So that's one of my passions.
Absolutely. Perfect. Anything from the committee? Vice Chair.
Mr. McKee, I have several constituents who reached out to me in the last couple of days and sang your praises, and I'm proud to support you today. I want to ask, we went through a couple of months ago some a tough time kind of, deciding about the Historic Commission and Historic Zoning Commission, and, moved the staff, and there was a lot of discussion about it, and it was, I imagine, not super easy for everyone. And I guess part of what I wanted to convey was that it's important that the commission still retain their authority, that they are the, legal authority on certain matters. And I want to ask, this is a small example, but you, I know you are the chair of the like nominating and elections, or that
Sort of.
elects like a chair and vice chair and a liaison from the historic commission to the historic zoning commission.
That's correct.
Like, and so I just guess I want to know who has the authority to appoint those three figures, and how does it usually play out?
Well, do you want how we do it or who has the authority? Those are two.
I want
questions.
both.
Okay. The commission itself elects its chair and its vice chair. They also have elected the person who represents the historical commission on the historical zoning board. That's historically how it's taken place. The process is that the terms are 2 years in the leadership positions. I have served in that position as chair previously. And what happens is that there's an opportunity for people who are on the commission to say, I would like to do this. And then there's a subset of the commission, sort of a subcommittee, that meets and discusses these people and presents a slate. So that's basically the process.
Thank you.
Anything further from the committee?
Just wanted to briefly lift up Dr. McKee. He is one of my District 2 constituents, and he is a long time given of himself to the community and a bit of a history buff, as you can see from his resume, and I wholeheartedly support his renomination or reappointment to the Historical Commission.
Thank you, Council.
Seeing nothing further from the committee, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? We've got 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And then next, we also have the Historic Zoning Commission appointment of Matthew C. Smith for a term expiring on August 21st, 2028. Mr. Smith, thank you so much for being here. Would you like a bus pass or a parking validation?
Parking validation, please.
And then, are you currently a proud resident of District 25 here in Nashville? And do you serve on any other Metro boards or commissions other than
I
one
serve
being-
on the Metropolitan Commission.
Okay, perfect. I don't think there's a conflict there. So tell us a little bit about why you want to serve.
Well, I was asked, and I was very pleased to be asked. The Metro Historical Zoning Commission has an interesting kind of nexus between preserving the history of Nashville, some of its charm and uniqueness, and history, obviously, and also, moving us forward into being a top-tier city in the nation. And a lot of this stuff is fairly smaller scale issues, but it's very important to each person that comes in front of us. And I'm hopefully contributing a little bit, and happy to do it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your willingness to continue serving. So, one thing that I'm curious about is how you view your sort of institutional knowledge of having served on the Planning Commission, how that will help you serve in historic zoning and sort of navigating the patchwork of regulations and things that are in place for folks.
Sure. Obviously, they're connected and more connected now than they used to be. I think they could be more connected, to be honest. One of the things I've been pushing for is there's a series of inspections you must get as part of a historical permit, in addition to your normal codes inspections. And we see a lot of cases, too many, because they're frustrating on everyone's end, where they got their codes inspections and didn't get their historical inspections. And tying those systems together, I'm not entirely sure how, but I think would be a benefit, because we come in, a lot of times we get called in afterwards and someone's made an error. I mean, malicious or not, it doesn't really matter, but they're off by a foot, 18 inches. It's going to cost them several $100,000s to fix it, and you just kind of go, how did we not? I mean, we're 3 months too late, and at the same time, I do try my best to read the regulations, abide by the regulations, and vote how, the charter of the commission is supposed to, not my own opinion. And so it's it's difficult and it's very in the weeds a lot of the time, and I think having just read a lot of regulations helps.
I can appreciate that. Anything from the committee? Yes.
Thank you for your willingness to continue to serve. I have a question. You're familiar with the Barlin Meadows?
I am.
Okay.
I am.
Okay. Wanted to ask your opinion.
So I voted against Marlin Meadows becoming a historical neighborhood twice. In general, and then I think specific. In general, I worry that the precedent of an old farm that became a mid-sized subdivision sometime in the last 100 years, making it historic, would apply to a large section of Nashville. There are also 3 specific criteria, I don't have them in front of me, and I'm going to do my best to summarize them, that would make this eligible under our rules and the Secretary's rules to be a historic neighborhood. One of which is having outstanding architecture, unique to the city or larger, a place of historical significance, where maybe someone of historical significance lived or where something historically significant happened, the work of an architectural master. I may be really summarizing 1 or 2, but frankly I just did not, I drove through it a couple times, I talked with people, I did not really see it meeting those criteria. There are some pretty houses along the kind of riverfront. Most of the other houses are mid-century homes, and I just didn't see those 300 homes as meeting that criteria, honestly. And I'm not against preservation, of course, but I worry that I don't want historical preservation to be used as a tool to downzone when that's not available to people. And there's development going on in the neighborhood, and the applicant said that was one of the reasons they considered this. And I don't think that's a proper use of the tool, and I didn't see that this qualified from reading the regulations, and that's how I voted. But I didn't storm out and protest or anything.
I didn't vote for it on the council floor, and that was my exact sentiment. And my worry was that it would create a bad precedent going forward. And so, knowing that you would be appointed to the Historical Zoning Commission makes me feel better. Potentially, depending how this goes.
Anything further from the committee? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? We've got 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next we have board and commission confirmations. So these are folks who we have previously interviewed at our last meeting and will be up for a vote on the council floor. First, want to note that item 13, the Historic Zoning Commission appointment of James Hoover for a term expiring on June 30th, 2030 has been withdrawn. So other than that, without objection, we'll go ahead and take all of these up as a consolidated vote. I'll read them into the record. If anybody wishes to remove anything from consent or from the consolidated vote, let me know. So we've got the Action Commission, or the Metro Action Commission reappointment of Topanga Byers for a term expiring August 31st, 2028. The Historical Commission appointment of Gary Burke for a term expiring on August 10th, 2029. The Historic Commission reappointment of Jane Landers for a term expiring on August 10th, 2029. The Hospital Authority appointment of Reverend Shane Scott for a term expiring July 7th, 2029. The Human Relations Commission reappointment of Dr. Amy Crawford Charlton for a term expiring on July 21st, 2028. National Entertainment Commission reappointment of Hazel Smith for a term expiring on June 20th, 2029. Stormwater Management Commission reappointment of Fiona Halter Abbott for a term expiring July 8th, 2029. And the the Metro Transportation Authority MTA reappointment of Catherine Hayes for a term expiring on July 7th, 2030. Is there anybody who wishes to remove from the consolidated vote? Seeing none, is there any discussion on the consolidated vote? Seeing none, we'll move to the vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? We've got 7 in favor, 0 against on this consolidated vote. And then lastly, just want to say, so today is my last day as chair. We will be in the very able hands of Chair-elect, why am I blank? On Chair-elect Cash. So congratulations on the appointment to being chair. I was very happy whenever you agreed to be the vice chair of this committee, and really appreciate everybody's consistency with this committee, and commitment to showing up, of vetting the folks that come before us, and discussing the rule changes. I will still be bringing the rule change that we discussed a couple of meetings ago. I'm still working on drafting some language myself to be able to present to the council office so that we can move forward with those discussions. But really just thank you everybody for the way that we've conducted business over the past year, and very much looking forward to continue to working with everybody. Looking forward to your stewardship.
Thanks. You're leaving big shoes to fill. You've done a great job. I appreciate.
But yes, so just wanted to say that really appreciate everything from everybody. And with that, do we have a motion to stand adjourned? All right. Proper motion without objection. We do now stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody.